the region. We continue our program with another very interesting discussion panel concerning the U.S. perspective for Southeast Europe's energy role. We are honored to have with us 4 U.S. ambassadors from regional countries. The panel will be moderated by Damon Wilson, Executive Vice President of the Atlantic Council. Damon, your turn. I guess we have some delays. Someone from the floor, can you help me here? Welcome you all today in our forum. Dear ambassadors, we're waiting from Damon Wilson. Hello, Ambassador PYATT. We're waiting for Damon to connect with us in order to moderate the discussion. Until Mr. Wilson join us, maybe Ambassador PYATT, since you had the initiative and the idea to form this panel, maybe you should start the conversation if you'd like.
Sure. Well, thank you very much for having us all on. It's a tremendous pleasure for me to be joined by all my friends and colleagues, but also to be back for what is my 4th AmCham Regional Energy Forum. I well remember the very first one of these. We were all together in Alexandropoli in 2017 with Minister Petkova. And a lot of what we were discussing then in theory has now been transformed into practice. And I think both the Greek state, but also AmCham can take a lot of pride in that accomplishment. If you look at where we are today, it's no exaggeration to say that energy is one of the most important and strongest pillars of the U.S.-Greece strategic relationship. It's something we cooperate on every single day. You can see it measured in terms of the dramatic increase in U.S. LNG exports to Greece, including over the course of 2020, when there's been a dramatic shift in the overall Greek energy market that Minister Hatzidakis talked about, away from Russian piped gas towards LNG suppliers. You also see it in the renewable space, where U.S. companies are becoming much more active, whether it's GE in the wind space. Also, significant developments that are propelled by Prime Minister Mitsotakis' bold goal to eliminate the use of lignite coal power by 2028. So we have one of the signature examples of how that power gap is going to be filled by clean LNG power in the large Mytilineos power facility that I was able to participate in the inauguration of last year. That uses a GE turbine that produces a remarkable 25% less or 75% less. It only expels 25% of the emissions of existing power sources. You also see it in the extraordinary progress in the rollout of regional infrastructure. The expansion of the Revithousa terminal here near Athens, which I was flying over earlier this afternoon. The completion of the TAP pipeline, which will begin commercial operations later this year. The IGB, which Minister Hatzidakis and I'm sure my colleague Hero Mustafa will talk about. The floating regasification unit at Alexandropoli, which is moving ahead, as Frank Fannin said, with strong support of the US government. And you see it, and I saw it just 2 weeks ago when I was up in Thessaloniki and was able to visit the Hellenic petroleum refinery there and talk to LP about the importance that they place on their cooperation with North Macedonia and their hopes for the revitalization of the Vardax pipeline, which will both save costs for consumers in North Macedonia and help to deepen the regional infrastructure. And I was really glad that you were able to have Minister Noureddini there in Thessaloniki. I remember meeting him last year at the energy conference in Thess, and I'm glad both that he remains so committed to this vision of integration and cooperation between Greece and North Macedonia in the energy space, but also that he seems so energized by the new mandate that his government enjoys up there. And then the one thing that I would say has probably changed most in the past year since we were together in Thessaloniki is how the US government is approaching these issues with a much more deliberate and intentional regional focus. And one of the great benefits of that is that I've had a positive agenda that I've been able to develop with my friends and colleagues, Ambassador Mustafa, Ambassador Barnes, and Ambassador Godfrey. We all go back a long way, and it's fantastic that we're all able to collaborate in this way. I'm sure, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what they have to say from their respective capitals. I would just note that I share completely the vision that Minister Hatzidakis laid out, in which Assistant Secretary Fannin reaffirmed about Greece's role in helping to redraw the energy map of Europe, and how that helps to deepen energy security for the wider region, build resilience, and advance our shared goals. It also, as Minister Hatzidakis noted, helps to enhance the geostrategic role that Greece is playing here in Southeastern Europe and as part of the American strategy. So it's a very exciting time to be working on these issues. I consider our partnership with AmCham of extreme importance in this area. And as I said, I'm really delighted that we get to take this first foray into a more regional approach and look forward to building on it in the months ahead. So thanks. And I hope we've got Damon now.
I don't know if you can hear me now, Ambassador PYATT. Many apologies. I was able to hear you. There's great demand for this program. So I was being held in the studio and just was able to get in. Thank you very much for kicking us off, Ambassador PYATT. Let me just ask one quick follow-up question before I turn to Ambassador Mustafa. It's really a pleasure to have you on the line right now. You've said in the past that the developments around energy security in Greece have really been one of the most significant developments to ensuring Europe's energy security. How has, just quickly, and you touched on some of these points, but do you think that's the case? How has that been, what has made Greece's role so central to the transformation of Europe's energy security?
Thanks, David. Well, I think there are probably two answers. One, you and I have talked a lot about the geography of this region, and maps matter. I learned that the hard way when I was ambassador in Ukraine. And it's certainly the case, and it has been the case for thousands of years in terms of Greece's role as the meeting point between Eurasia and Europe. And so the geography explains some of this, but what's also played a critical role has been the willingness of multiple Greek governments now to work with the United States. And what I would emphasize is how the developments that are coming to fruition now build on really decades of U.S. foreign policy, the Southern Gas Corridor, our efforts to build a collaboration among our European allies, our NATO partners, in addressing these issues. And then Greek governments that recognized, I think, early on, the advantage to getting out from underneath their dependence on a single supplier of pipeline gas, and now are in the position to help collaborate and work with their partners. And a Greek state which has clearly placed a priority on stabilizing and deepening Greece's cooperation with all of its neighbors, building on this vision of Thessaloniki, about a Greece-Bulgaria relationship that's better than it's been in hundreds of years, a relationship between Greece and North Macedonia, which has finally been clarified by the Prespis Agreement. And I was really excited when I was in Thessaloniki 2 weeks ago to hear how much constructive focus there was on building business and commercial ties between the two countries, and how little talk there was about ancient animosities. And then leveraging a very strong, traditionally strong relationship between Greece and Serbia, in which Greece seeks to work with the United States actively as a partner in helping Serbia to build its relationship with the European Union and with NATO. So there's a lot of geopolitics behind this, and the fact that we today have a U.S.-Greece relationship that's undeniably better than it has ever been. I was reminded of that today when I was with General Floros, the Greek chief of defense, and we had our Air Force personnel and Hellenic Army personnel in a airborne exercise together, which really put a highlight on how much practical cooperation is happening every single day between these two governments. So thanks for the question. And again, thanks for hosting, Damon. I didn't know if you were going to be on, so I didn't get to say what a treat it is to see you again and how much value we at Embassy Athens place on the work that the Atlantic Council has been doing on energy and a whole bunch of other issues to help us deepen and strengthen the strategic relationship with Greece.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I had the chance at the beginning of the conference to kick off singing your praises for how you've helped steward the U.S.-Greek relationship in such a remarkable way and given so many opportunities for us to build on. We talked about at the opening how in a really tough time in the pandemic and the economic consequences, we need to find opportunities. And I'm really delighted to speak to you and all the U.S. ambassadors. I'm going to turn to Ambassador Hero Mustafa next. These American ambassadors that are deployed in the region are just among our best at helping to find the opportunity in challenging times. You mentioned improved relations, heightened best relations between Greece and Bulgaria.